Good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for this Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service, and I'll be hosting today's show. On the warning advisory map here, the only thing out today, or for tonight, for tonight until 3 p.m. Sunday, winter storm warning for some heavy snow here for the northern southeast coast. I believe north of Juneau, Haines, Skagway, and the Klondike Highway. Those are the areas under the influence of this warning, and that's for 6 to 9 inches of snow and possibly even higher amounts there, again, tonight through 3 p.m. Sunday afternoon. Otherwise, watch advisory and warning free everywhere else. So moving on to satellite imagery, you can see the frontal boundary here that's sort of stationary or quasi-stationary along the southeast coast. Wind flow aloft and at the surface parallel to the front, so really not moving, just kind of oscillates around there. And then some more moisture here rotating back up into the North Gulf Coast, very extensive trough that's been digging southward there across the interior here. So we've got the cold northerly winds out to the west from the Chukchi Sea down across the eastern Bering along the west coast here, anywhere from 15 to 30, maybe gusts 40 miles an hour or more, all the way down across the Alaska Peninsula, that banking the snow up on the Bering Sea side of the peninsula. A little bit better conditions south side. And Kodiak Island, looks like some clearing showing up today, and then mostly cloudy areas of light snow or snow showers here across Copper River Basin, south central Alaska. Out to the west, a lot of moisture rolling up across the Aleutians and into the Bering Sea. Warm front roughly through here, and then a cold front extending back to the west there, but a big push of warm air, so a lot of moisture with that spreading up in toward the Pribilof Islands and the eastern Aleutians. And the main moisture cloudiness area lifting north of the Aleutians, but still some areas of light rain and generally cloudy skies there, even down toward Adak and Atka. Otherwise, some clouds and light snow occurring on the western Arctic coast today with disturbance up there, and then some areas of light snow and flurries extending eastward, but nothing really too significant. On the chart today, here's that one low pressure area here just south of the Russian coast, and the frontal boundary sliding eastward here along the Aleutian Range with a little bit better conditions, high pressure to the south, not quite far enough to the north there to get the western Aleutians out of that moisture field. So that's actually in that westerly flow is going to continue to direct this all eastward here with leading edge in the form of snow as it pushes into the eastern Aleutians to the Pribilofs, and then much warmer air should quickly change over to rain as snow levels rise in that west-southwest jet. And then today we had the light snow, mostly along the Bering Sea side of the Alaska Peninsula. Winds still gusty, but in a downward trend all afternoon today here in the west. Low pressure up here over the northwest interior. And for tonight, we'll see this system continues to push eastward with rain and snow pushing into the Pribilofs, becoming snow. And that'll spread down to the eastern Aleutians there, warm front right near Unalaska. Around 4 a.m. tomorrow morning, with rain pushing in toward Falls Pass just to the east here. A break right along the southwest coast, maybe some clearing, Bristol Bay. Definitely lighter winds all through this area as that weak ridge axis shifts eastward. A lot of moisture out here, widespread area of rain and fog and IFR out over the central Bering Sea on off to the southwest. And we've got low pressure here, again, south of the Gulf of Alaska. High pressure over British Columbia, south to north flow, warm air surging northward, increase in the winds here, gale force winds coming into the southeast coast and warmer conditions, but snow in the north with a winter storm warning out there, and then a zone there of, call it a wintry mix in between the rain and the snow. Scattered snow showers here over southern Alaska, a little more extensive up here, that low off the northwest coast. And for the forecast, looking at Sunday, tomorrow, We've got the front edging in toward the panhandle there, but still keeps it wet all across the area with rain in the south and temperatures well into the 40s, maybe even pushing near 50, even with the rain. And then the mixed rain and snow line lifting probably up to Juneau. And again, about 3 p.m. in the afternoon, that winter storm warning is out for Haines, Klondike Highway on up to Skagway. Again, 6 to 9 inches or more of snow between now and then the warmer air should push far enough north that that'll change to rain even in those locations. Chance of some light snow, again, this area moisture pushing northwestward will bring a chance of snow, or increasing chances of snow, first along the North Gulf Coast, then across Prince William Sound, then northward there into the Talkeetnas, edging back to the west, Turnaganar, maybe the Chugach Mountains, right on the western edge. Another patch up here over the Tanana Valley with that weak trough, scattered snow showers off to the northwest. Clearing Kodiak Island, light winds, could be a mostly sunny day or afternoon tomorrow for Kodiak, and actually maybe even Iliamna up across the Kuskokwim Valley to the Seward Peninsula and the North Slope. Look for some clearing. Back out to the west, not much behind this system. Low pressure hanging up here over the northern Bering Sea. Look for increasing snow and blowing snow for St. Lawrence Island. And then for Monday, that moves inland there, right into Norton Sound. An area of snow from Kotzebue Sound to Chukchi Sea along the northwest coast down towards Oshishmaref, and then down to Kaltag. Snow, light snow or snow showers with this trough extending southeastward from the center across the Kuskokwim Valley, and a chance of snow showers from roughly Fognak Island up along mostly the east side of the Kenai Peninsula there. Should stay dry, cooking, let Manuscus to sit in the valley with even some sunshine breaking out over the Tanana Valley and Copper River Basin. And a warm front shifting rain northward there, cutting off here to the south, but a big batch just across the Queen Charlotte. So you get a break over the central and southern areas, and then more rain moving in on Monday evening. Low temperatures for tonight down there, staying mild with the southerly flow and increasing moisture and clouds. So right around 40 over the southern areas and lower 30s to the north. Below zero, Copper River Basin, 0 to 5 below here, up across the eastern interior, and then that 10 to 15 below range again, north slope in the Arctic coast. And a little below zero out here in the west, Yukon Kuskokwim Delta, look for a low temperature anywhere from 0 to 8 below. Nunivak Island in the teens, 20s for the Purbloffs and 30s for the Aleutians. Highs for Sunday afternoon shaping up like this. Lower 30s here, south central Alaska, southern Alaska, near 40, say places like Cordova, and into the 20s in the Copper River, or I'm sorry, we're right around 20, Copper River Basin and Tanana Valley, well into the 20s, staying a shade below zero for the Arctic coast and North Slope, and in the 30s, Bering Sea, 40s for the Aleutians, and pushing 50, as I mentioned, for the southeast coast. Lows for the next morning, just a little under 40 there, mid-30s to the north. Pretty much above zero now over the eastern interior with single numbers, but below zero for the North Slope and the Arctic coast, and upper 20s along the Bristol Bay coast. And for the highs in the afternoon, 20s and 30s in the south, 40s to lower 50s for the Panhandle, and up to the north, right just above zero.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Rolling into flying weather graphics here. Massive IFR out over the Bering Sea for Sunday morning. Not quite to Nunivak Island, but in across the western Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutian areas, and then right along Adak and Atka. Another area here up over the northwest interior, west central interior, extending back to the northwest there, across the Noatak Valley, and including the northwest coast, up to about roughly Cape Lisburne, marginal VFR all the way over toward, say, Nuiqsut, and then IFR up here south of the Brooks Range into the Yukon Flats with VFR, eastern, central, and eastern Tanana Valley on down the Copper River Basin. More IFR sliding on up northwestward here along the southeast coast. We'll see that by afternoon moves northwestward into passes Canal, and then spreads up across the Wrangell Mountains in the southern and eastern Copper River Basin with marginal VFR advancing out in advance of that. Just some IFR over the northern southeast coast, marginal conditions all the way down to the south. VFR here, eastern interior, all the way out to much of the Arctic coast and the North Slope. And this area IFR kind of shrinks a little bit, but takes on more of the frontal characteristics here in the way it's laid out and makes its landfall around noontime tomorrow, and then comes inland a little bit in the afternoon down across the Alaska Peninsula. Then for Monday morning, that moves inland across all of the southwest interior back up to St. Lawrence Island, with a patch of IFR here over the northeast and one off the western Arctic coast. Areas of IFR along the Alaska range with marginal VFR elsewhere, isolated VFR, and some VFR for the Fox Islands, otherwise IFR farther to the west. And for the Monday afternoon forecast, we've got VFR breaking out here over the southern panhandle, staying IFR up to the north there, Lynn Canal, Glacier Bay, on up to the passes. And also for Prince William Sound, IFR in the forecast will stay in the forecast there. Lee side of the mountains with southeast winds, looks like VFR eastern Kenai or western Kenai Peninsula, northern Cook Inlet, Madawaska-Susitna Valley, and then back into the IFR here as you get over toward the Alaska Range. And that'll extend all the way up to the northwest, eastern Norton Sound, into the Selawik Valley there, and a good portion of the Seward Peninsula, and out to the west, IFR over much of the Aleutians, breaking out the marginal conditions farther to the west. And for passes Anatuvik, marginal VFR improves to VFR during the day, and also that trend also is good for Adigan. Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR day coming up, as well as rainy with mostly clear skies. For windy, probably seeing the marginal stuff slide in from the southeast tomorrow evening. And then for Isabel, VFR trending toward IFR, so deterioration conditions, ceilings visibilities lowering for both these passes, as well as Mentasta during the day tomorrow, especially into the afternoon. And for Tanita, VFR, possibly counting on the eastern entrance here, going down to marginal VFR late in the afternoon tomorrow, but should be pretty much a VFR day. And then for Portage, VFR becoming IFR, Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR becoming IFR. And for the freezing levels here, southerly flow pulling some milder air up 4,000 feet here in toward or over Prince of Wales Island, 2,000 feet farther to the north. But at the surface, starting the day out tomorrow for the at the surface over the northern southeast coast, and then milder air 6,000 to 8,000 feet here, pushing up across the Aleutians into the southern Bering Sea, and 2,000 feet up or north of the Pribilof Islands. And then that kind of cuts off there at the Alaska Peninsula with cold air aloft hanging in over much of the interior. Icing, with the front coming in, areas of moderate rime icing will be pushing in toward western Bristol Bay, but that probably won't get in there until tomorrow evening, but definitely for the Alaska Peninsula, and then this area mostly to the south of the Aleutians, and then some icing pushing up towards St. Lawrence Island, southeast interior areas, back down across the southeast coast with isolated areas of moderate rime icing. Jet stream, here's that south to north flow here, with this trough digging southward, and we got 90 knots carrying the moisture, next batch of moisture northward. Otherwise, westerlies out here over the Bering Sea and Aleutians keep an unsettled active pattern there for the next several days. 9,000 feet, westerlies 50 to 65 knots over the Aleutians, southeast 50 to 60 in advance of this system. Same thing about 3,000 feet here with these winds out over the Aleutians and off the southeast coast. Moving on to turbulence, with those winds increasing throughout the day, widespread moderate turbulence here below about 6,000 feet, all the Panhandle up to Yakutat, North Gulf Coast into Prince William Sound, as well as the Aleutians and portions of the southwest interior. After the break, I'll be back with the marine forecasts.
Dual polarization technology is a major upgrade to the current radar system. It allows forecasters a better idea of what's actually out there and can help keep you safe.
Current radar technology transmits and receives information in the horizontal direction, which is very limited. Dual polarization technology, in addition to the horizontal, transmits and receives vertical energy, which allows forecasters to get information about the size, shape, and phase of the precipitation. We can use that information to better determine the precipitation type to expect at your given location.
There you have it. This new technology is currently being installed in radars across the country and is already being used by National Weather Service forecasters to produce better, more accurate forecasts. Learn more here and follow us. Want to know about the future of weather radar? Well, the National Severe Storms Lab has it here with its new phased array radar. Let's check it out.
It's a non-moving radar. It has 4 faces of the antenna, each pointing in different directions. One of the big advantages is that we're seeing so far, it can sample the area around the radar in less than a minute, maybe even a half a minute. And this is 5-6 times faster than what they can do today.
NSSL is leading the development of future weather radar with this project. Learn more here and follow us. The Storm Prediction Center is one of the NOAA weather partners. They are located in the National Weather Center in Norman, Oklahoma. Greg Carbon gives us a glimpse into what the SPC does.
Our mission is to analyze and forecast severe thunderstorms and the potential for tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds from those thunderstorms across the lower 48 states, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. One of the primary missions of the Storm Prediction Center is the issuance of severe thunderstorm and tornado watches across the country when conditions appear to be coming together to support the development of severe thunderstorms and tornadoes.
The world-class meteorologists in the Storm Prediction Center specialize in severe weather and keeping you safe. Learn more here and follow us.
The National Severe Storms Lab is working on increasing the lead time for severe weather warnings. The national average for tornado warnings is currently 13 minutes, but more notice would be helpful, especially for those in charge of moving large groups to shelter. Warn on Forecast will help forecasters issue hazardous weather warnings earlier. The project will give them more info about the chances of strong winds, large hail, and even tornadoes.
Currently, warnings are created by forecasters looking at the atmosphere outside, understanding its volatility, and then comparing that to how they see the Doppler radar presenting what's going on inside thunderstorms. Warn on Forecast is an idea where we're going to take the massive amounts of satellite, radar, and surface data and stick them all into a very high resolution prediction model. And then by producing new forecasts every 15 or 20 minutes, the forecasters hopefully will be able to use that model to produce warnings that extend out to an hour.
Before the National Weather Service can use this tool, it must be developed and tested. One big challenge will be deciding how to get the model predictions to the forecasters.
I'm going to keep this one very low. I'm just adjusting the track.
These hazardous weather prediction models are going to produce a huge amount of output. And this fire hose of data is just too much for forecasters to handle in real time quickly. So in order to help deal with that, NSSL has developed a related project called Facets. And Facets is the methodology which will enable forecasters to focus very quickly on the most important threats.
Once Warn on Forecast and Facets are proven to be reliable and effective, then forecasters will be better able to inform you of threats nearby. Learn more here and follow us.
The Hazardous Weather Test Bed is located at the National Weather Center in Norman, Oklahoma. It is used for experiments that will allow forecasters to learn and apply new technologies.
The Hazardous Weather Test Bed is a really unique space throughout all of NOAA. And this is where the researchers and the operational folks come together in a common space to solve operational problems and to test new research tools that the research community is working on. The goal is to accelerate the transfer from research to operations of the newest tools and techniques.
People come from around the world to collaborate on this unique project.
We can bring together not only NOAA people, but also university people, faculty, researchers, private sector meteorologists, folks working in other countries in meteorology, forecasters, can all come together and focus on what the problem of the day is with the forecasters.
Each spring, several experiments occur in the hazardous weather test bed. Learn more here and follow us.
What are you looking at? And what are you ignoring? Did you notice the NOAA logo in the corner? Forecasters have a lot of information in front of them too. Every second counts during severe weather, and decisions about where to focus are constantly being made. This could be even more challenging in the future. Phased array radar will produce 4 to 6 times more information than what we have now, which brings us to the question researchers are hoping to answer. Will more radar information affect forecasters' decisions?
From our past experiments, we've learned a lot about how forecasters think during the warning decision process, but we've also learned that those thought processes are very complex, and for that reason, we need a better way to be able to track forecasters' cognitive activity.
Inbounds and possibly golf ball sized hail.
An eye tracker is a piece of technology that is used to determine in real time where someone's eye gaze is located. And these eye trackers are typically video-based, which means a camera sits below a computer monitor, and with infrared light and vector analysis, we can determine where a person is looking and how their eyes are moving.
Eye tracking is already being used in the medical field and air traffic control. Using similar research methods, NSSL is discovering the benefit for weather forecasting too. Phased array radar will give forecasters a lot more to think about. Understanding their decision-making process will help researchers develop even more user-friendly tools. So what's the benefit for you? Even better weather warnings. To learn more, check us out online and follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Looking at today's sea ice analysis, continued to grow with the cold temperatures, northerly winds, which are diminishing currently now here, but seen in advance over the last several days southward and westward of the ice edge here, even down into Kuskokwim Bay and to a lesser extent over Bristol Bay, and still a fair amount of ice here over northern Cook Inlet. And moving on to coastal water forecasts, 35 knot winds on the south coast, 35 to 40 knot winds on the north coast, all from the south, and seas 17 to 18 feet. Southeast 30 knots, 6-foot seas, Lynn Canal, and gusts to 45 knots for Stevens Passage, while Clarence Strait looking at a southeast wind at 30. Then for Monday, no change there for Clarence Strait. A little lighter there for Stevens Passage, gusts just to 35 knots instead of 45. Southeast 15 for northern Lynn Canal. And pretty uniform wind pattern here along the coast. Southeasterlies at 30 knots, 11 to 13-foot seas. Lighter winds on the extreme north coast up there, east at 20 with seas at about 10 feet. And for northern Cook Inlet, north winds light tomorrow, 20 knots south of the Forelands, in across Kachemak Bay and the Barren Islands. Southeast winds 35 knots to the eastern North Gulf Coast. Northerlies increasing to 25, Prince William Sound, and that wind pattern extends along the western North Gulf Coast. Then lighter winds coming up for Monday, southeast 15, North Gulf Coast right into Prince William Sound with 10-foot seas, only 3 feet for the Sound, and southeast 20 with 11-foot seas here on the western part of the coastal zone. And for the Barrens, southeast 25, which increased to 30 knots in Kachemak Bay, east 20 for southern Cook Inlet. And for the Alaska Peninsula tomorrow, looking at southerly winds increasing to 30 knots with lighter winds here from Castle Cape to Sitkinak, southwest at 15 there, and then northerlies for Selikoff Strait, only 15 knots, and then maybe up to about 20 tomorrow afternoon along the east side of the Kenai Peninsula, southeast 20 for Bristol Bay. And then the outlook for Monday here, west-northwesterlies, 20 knots there for the Alaska Peninsula, small craft advisories Bristol Bay, west winds at 25, and also from Castle Cape to Sitkinak, southerlies at 30 there on the east side of Kodiak Island with 9-foot seas. And for the Fox Islands, westerly winds 30 to 35 knots, so gale force winds in the forecast there. Central Aleutian, same thing, gales out actually for tonight through tomorrow. Southwest 35 for Adak and Atka, back out to about Amchitka, then roughly west of Amchitka to Shemya, west at 35 with 18-foot seas. And for Monday, northerly winds at 20 out there toward, from Kiska Island on out to Shemya, and then northeast 20 to about Adak, and then kind of a light variable wind pattern, especially on the Bering Sea side of the, in those zones there, but southwest 25 in the Pacific side from south of Adak and Atka over into the Fox Islands. Then it gets a little more squirrely again at about 15 knots, mostly for the south-southwest around Alaska Island. And for the southwest coast, we got gales out for tomorrow. Southeasterlies 35 knots, east winds increasing to 30 knots. St. Lawrence Island as that front pushes northward. And southeasterly gales for St. Matthew Island. Small craft advisories for the Pribilofs with seas up to about 11 feet. And then for Monday, northeast 25, St. Lawrence Island, southwest 25 there, north of Nunivak Island, turn westerly here, areas south of Nunivak Island, back into the Pribilofs. Small craft advisories, 12-foot seas, west 30 with 15-foot seas for St. Matthew Island. And for the Arctic coast, east 25 tomorrow, brisk wind advisories across the whole area there. And then from Cape Thompson down to the Wales area, southerlies at 10 to 15. And then for Monday, again from Cape Beaufort down to Wales, north at 15 knots, and then easterlies falling down to about 20 knots, and then 20 to 25 knot winds, pretty much the rule for the central and eastern Beaufort Sea coast. And then for tonight, again, low pressure, southerly flow, warmer temperatures sliding northward with a lot of moisture. So winter storm warning for heavy snow for the Klondike Highway, Haines on up to Skagway, anywhere from 6 to 9 inches falling by tomorrow afternoon, with some areas even possibly heavier than that. But rain to the south and milder temperatures for sure. Scattered snow showers south central Alaska with some breaks, especially over the eastern part of the state. Areas of light snow persisting with that weak low up to the northwest, and the next system spreading a lot of moisture and warmer air across the southern Bering Sea eastward. That makes landfall tomorrow afternoon, and rain. Southern Bristol Bay, Alaska Peninsula, and the Aleutians, a mixture to the north. And then for the Monday outlook, more rain for the Aleutians, snow for the Seward Peninsula, and more rain for the northern Panhandle.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.